in May, we learned that Matt had a cancerous tumor on his right kidney. And since then, his life has been kind of a roller coaster. So, in this part two of Matt Chan Has Cancer, we thought we would update you all on Matt's status and that roller coaster ride that he's been on. So, Matt, where are we now since May when you first found out?
A long ways. Actually, you're catching me at a good time because I had a doctor's appointment with my oncologist today, and things dramatically changed. So to recap, when we last spoke, I was diagnosed. They had a plan. They were going to partially remove my kidney to take the tumor out, and leave most of the kidney there, and then see what happens after that. Well, a lot has happened. I've had successive biopsies, and they noticed that a couple of lymph nodes were had become cancerous with the same kidney cancer. So they were getting more concerned. The plan then shifted to let's remove your right kidney, because we don't want to, since it's spread, we don't want to have to come back in 3 months later and remove the kidney. So let's just do that. And so that was the plan. Um, I began having some symptoms, but nothing dramatic. And I went in because one of the things I did have was anemia, and that was
Mm,
caused by the cancer. So I would have to pace myself because what that basically meant is I'm not getting enough oxygen
yeah.
in my blood cells because there's not enough red blood cells. So if I pace myself, I'm okay. But when I do overexert myself, like the last bout, I was up and down a ladder, I worked out, and I knew that I thought I did too much and it wiped me out for 2 days. And
Yeah.
so I called the doctor. He said, let's get some blood tests and let's do a CAT scan. Um, and so I got the results of the blood test, and it seemed to be okay. I'm still anemic. But the CAT scan revealed something more dramatic, that the tumor had grown and the lymph nodes had grown, and plus two spots on my lung have appeared.
Yeah.
So it was the concern immediately was surgery is not going to do it. So they've canceled the surgery, um, because they said there's no sense, since it's spread, to do the surgery only to have to do the same thing. So what they're going to try to do is, give me a cocktail of two drugs for immunotherapy drugs to see if they can slow the growth down, or else reverse the growth and shrink the tumors. And if they can control at that point, um, then we could talk about removing the kidney. So that's sort of where we're at. I mean, it's kind of shocking at this point. I've processed it, and the same thing applies. What can you do about it? I mean, you just got to live your life. I'm still hopeful, although things are closing in a little bit. But I'm realistic about it. There's nothing you can really do at this point other than go through the process and trust your doctors and trust your body to be able to withstand it.
So many ups and downs in this because at times, as when we've talked, it came to the decision that the doctor was saying, okay, we need to remove the kidney. And I think the hope there was that they'll get the kidney out, it will take all the cancer along with it, but then concerns about it being spread to the lymph nodes. Now, very deep concern about this showing up in your lungs.
Hmm.
And so that's a deep concern as well. Uh, I would imagine that shocked you.
No,
You
I
didn't.
mean, it didn't because, look, I'm a storyteller. You're a storyteller.
Yeah.
You run the scenarios, hundreds of them through your mind. So that's one possible story. So I think the doctor was more shocked by what he saw than I actually was because I kind of expected it. Um, I mean, I was questioning as I was feeling sort of the effects of the cancer is like, well, what if I don't make it to the surgery? I mean,
Mhm.
what happens if I take a turn and I'm not even healthy enough to take the surgery? There was some talk about because of the time frame between the diagnosis and the surgery, I mean, there were what, May, June, July, I mean, 4 months in between the time I was diagnosed to when the surgery was scheduled, that there would have been, that they would have given me a round or two of chemotherapy,
Mm.
I mean, immunotherapy. But the risk there was if they were able to move up the surgery, and because I was in the middle of a immunotherapy regime, that I wouldn't be able to take the surgery. So they said the risk of waiting, was worth it
Mm.
to see if that happened. Well, obviously the cancer is pretty aggressive at this point, and they said it's very aggressive, and so they're taking steps right now.
When we talked to Ray Suarez, the veteran broadcast journalist recently, he went through colon cancer.
Yes.
And I think the one thing that he said that I'm sure you could relate to is that uh, you might have a sense of what the next step is, but then you really don't. And so
No.
there's a lot of I don't know yet, and a lot of waiting. And to me, that's got to drive you crazy.
Well, it's like what he says. You never get full answers. You only get bits and pieces as things progress because the cancer is a living thing.
Right.
It changes. I mean, it is shocking. I mean, I think back, like I said before in the first podcast, I mean, you do compose yourself and start thinking like, okay, how long is long enough to live? And so the inevitability of death is always with us. And it's just a matter of, have I done everything that I wanted to do? And of course you never do, but for the most part, I have no regrets.
Yeah. So let's talk about the difference between immunotherapy and chemotherapy. Explain that. What is?
From what I understand, I'm no expert in this, and sometimes I just don't want to get into the instruction manual on some of this stuff. But the immunotherapy uses your body's own immune system to identify and attack the cells. The two drugs I'm taking, one curbs the cancer's ability to multiply the cells as rapidly, and the other one, I think, stops the cancer. It tries to, diminish it. I'm not really sure exactly what they do, but it's your own system. Whereas chemotherapy, they kind of flood your body and basically they try to poison the cancer. So it affects a lot of other systems. I mean, that's why you lose your hair. It actually destroys cells.
Do you know what side effects you may end up having with immunotherapy?
There's a number of side effects. I mean, like I told my daughter, I go, yeah, just, listen to the end of those pharmaceutical ads on TV, that's pretty much the list. There were some things with, digestive stuff, hunger suppressant, I probably will lose weight.
Probably
Skin
your
rash. The weirdest thing he said was,
joints.
yeah, joint pain. One of the weird things was, it doesn't say that I'll lose my hair, but it says your hair may change color. So I don't know, maybe I can rock the blonde look, but,
There you go.
in revenge for all the times I domed white people, right? So
Yeah. What are you doing with pink or blonde hair? Yeah.
yeah, I don't think pink would be the color, but
You never know.
you never know.
Yeah. How's the family doing?
They're doing fine. I think it's hard on them.
Yeah.
I mean, probably harder on them than it is me
Yeah.
because, I'm living it. And when you talk about not knowing, they really don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, there's a plan now. I mean, there was a plan before, but that's the other thing. It's just this constantly shifting, fluid situation that you have to deal with. And so you almost don't know what can come next. But
No, you don't. I mean, they're going to try the therapy is pretty aggressive because they said they need to know because the cancer is so aggressive, they need to knock it back as quickly as possible. And so they'll know within 2 weeks if it's working at all.
okay.
Yeah.
And there is a good chance that the immunotherapy can really knock this thing down. actually.
Yes, I mean that's the hope. They said that, they hopefully they can put it into remission.
Right. And be able to shrink the tumor, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that point we might then discuss removing the kidney.
Right. So at this point too, what did the doctors tell you about just handling life? I know that there's one positive out of this is that
Yeah, that's right. Well, I had sort of, since I knew my kidneys were going to be compromised and that I'd be losing one, I started going on a low sodium sort of renal diet, and which is fine. But I was talking to my doctor, and he said, the only reason they're doing that is to keep your blood pressure down. And my blood pressure is fine; it's normal at this point. So he said, just don't go crazy, but eat whatever you like, because he said one of the things you got to do is keep healthy, keep active, and you know, and enjoy what you can.
right. But you also need not to overdo it physically. You've got to which you don't do well.
Yeah, I have to temper what I do a little bit more.
All right. So no getting up on a ladder or playing 20 holes or 36 holes of golf. Not like you were anyway, but you really got to be smart about that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I just have to kind of understand where I'm at and just act accordingly. But he said, you could pretty much just conduct your normal life because, if hopefully I will have mild side effects,
Right.
but some of the side effects could be severe. No one knows, right, until you get on the drugs. So we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's weird, when I told my doctor, he goes, really? And I said, look, I've been preparing for this. I mean, I've stayed in shape because, I know what life is about. I lost my father, I've lost my sister. I mean, I've lost my immediate family.
Yeah.
Um, two of them to disease. Well, three of them to disease. My mom passed with a heart attack. My father passed with cancer. My sister had a blood disorder. So I understand the cycle.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, reconciling myself to it and working through it.
Yeah. Well, here's the one thing that you're going to have, and I've said this before. You've got me as your friend, along with our other two buddies, Eugene Tagawa and James Burns. We're your kind of gang of four here from our King days. So you have the support from us, as well as I'm sure the strong support of your family and other friends. So I think that that's something. Don't forget that you have that as the times when you feel like you need some support, don't be afraid to reach out because we're going to be there for you.
Oh, I know that. And you know how I am. I'm not hiding this by any means.
Right.
A number of people know. I mean, and people have called me up. We've gone out to dinner, talked about life and stuff. I mean, one of the special things happened was, I had dinner with Joe Wynn, Sam Cho, Kermai Zahala, and Brandon Hersey, who are all electeds that I'd helped their campaigns. And that was pretty special. I felt really appreciated by that.
Yeah. Well, just know that you're continuing to be appreciated, particularly by your friends and the people that you've been active in the community with, and all the folks that you have done videos for their organizations to promote them and let people know how important they are. And then we're going to continue doing this podcast and talk about those issues in communities of color that we've been doing before as well, and updating folks in your progress. And hopefully it's going to be all positive. But let's just you have my prayers there, and be right there to help you out in any way we can. So, you know what? Why don't we get off here and let's go to Dick's?
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Enrique.
All right, Matt. Take care.